3 weeks before Carl Jung died, he had a vision. What he saw changed everything he thought he knew about death. He described it to his closest friend and said one sentence: "Now I know, I was right all along." His friend asked, "What did you see?" Jung smiled and said, "I saw what happens when the body fails. The mind does not panic, it does not fear, it does something else, something I have been studying my entire life. It prepares for a transformation." This was not mysticism, this was observation. Jung had spent decades analyzing people in their final days, watching their minds change, documenting the visions that appeared as death approached, and he found something, a pattern, a process, something that happens to everyone, whether they know it or not. What he saw in his final weeks was the same thing he had seen in thousands of patients, the same visions, the same symbols, the same transformation. And it proved everything he had been teaching about consciousness, about death, about what we actually are. So what did Jung see, and what does it mean for you, right now, while you are still alive? Let me show you. Jung discovered something most people misunderstand. Visions are not hallucinations. They are not imagination. They are not your brain malfunctioning. They are messages from the deepest part of your consciousness, trying to show you what words cannot explain. Jung studied this for 50 years. He interviewed patients who were dying, people who had near-death experiences, individuals going through psychological crises, and he found they all reported the same thing: visions, vivid, symbolic, more real, they said, than waking life. And Jung realized these are not random, they follow a pattern, a psychological pattern that reveals what your mind does when it knows the end is near. It does not shut down, it wakes up. Here is what Jung discovered. Your conscious mind, the part that worries, plans, thinks, is only a tiny fraction of your total consciousness. Beneath it is the unconscious, vast, infinite, aware of things your conscious mind cannot see. And in moments of extreme crisis, near death, psychological breakdown, deep meditation, the barrier between conscious and unconscious dissolves, and the unconscious speaks, not in words, but in symbols, in visions. Jung called these archetypal visions, universal images that appear across all cultures, all religions, all time periods: light, guides, tunnels, sacred spaces, deceased loved ones. These are not cultural conditioning. They are built into human consciousness, and they emerge when the ego begins to dissolve. Jung wrote, "The visions are not created by the dying brain, they are revealed by it. The brain is like a filter, and when the filter weakens, consciousness sees what was always there." Think about this. What if everything you see right now is filtered, limited, reduced to what your brain can process? But beneath that filter is a reality far more vast, more complex, more conscious. And in moments when the ego relaxes, when your grip on control loosens, you catch glimpses of it, through visions, through dreams, through moments of overwhelming beauty or terror. Jung said this is not supernatural, this is psychology, the unconscious breaking through, showing you what you are beyond the small self. And here is what he found in dying patients. The visions follow a sequence. Stage 1, they see guides, wise figures, deceased loved ones, angels, beings of light. Jung said these are not external entities, they are aspects of your own consciousness, the self, reaching out, preparing you for the transition. Stage 2, they see light, overwhelming, beautiful, not frightening, inviting. Jung said this is the unconscious showing you are not darkness, you are light, consciousness itself, and the body was just temporary. Stage 3, they feel peace, complete, total, the fear gone, the struggle over, because they finally see what they were afraid of losing, the ego, the identity, was never real to begin with, and what remains, the awareness, the consciousness, the self, cannot die, because it was never born. Jung experienced this himself. In 1944, he had a heart attack, and during those moments between life and death, he had the most profound vision of his life, and what he saw proved everything he had been teaching about consciousness, about the self, about what we actually are. Here is what Jung discovered about your mind. When it knows the end is near, it does not break down. It does something extraordinary. It lets go of everything you thought you were and shows you what you actually are. Jung documented this in hundreds of dying patients, and the pattern was always the same. In the final weeks, sometimes days, people stop caring about things that consumed them their entire lives, their reputation, their achievements, their grudges, their fears, all of it suddenly irrelevant. Jung said, this is not resignation, this is clarity. The ego is dissolving and the self is emerging. And with that emergence come the visions. But here is what most people do not understand. These visions are not just for the dying. They happen to anyone who goes deep enough into their own consciousness, through meditation, through psychedelics, through extreme crisis, through deep psychological work. The visions appear because the ego is loosening its grip and the unconscious is breaking through. Jung said, what the dying see in their final days, the mystics see in their practice. It is the same vision, the same truth. You do not have to die to experience it. So what do people see? Jung found 3 consistent themes. Theme 1, unity. A feeling, not a thought, that everything is connected. You are not separate from the world. You are the world, experiencing itself through this temporary form called you. Patients would say, I felt like I dissolved into everything, and it was not scary. It was coming home. Jung said, this is the self, the part of consciousness that is not individual, but universal. Theme 2, timelessness. Past, present, future, collapse. Everything is happening simultaneously. You see your entire life at once, not as a sequence, but as a whole, complete, perfect. Even the painful parts make sense, because from this perspective, you see the pattern, the meaning, the purpose behind everything that happened. Jung said, the unconscious exists outside of time. It sees your life not as a story, but as a complete picture, and in that picture, nothing is wasted. And theme 3, love. Not romantic love, not emotional love, but pure, unconditional acceptance of everything you are, everything you have been, everything you will ever be. Patients described it as being held by something infinite and knowing for the first time that I was never alone. I was always part of this. Jung said this is not God in the religious sense. This is consciousness recognizing itself.
the self embracing the ego and saying, "You did your best, you survived, you played the role, now you can let go." But here is what Jung warned about. Most people never experience this while they're alive. They spend their entire lives identified with the ego, defending it, building it, terrified of losing it. And then, at the very end, when death comes, the ego dissolves anyway, and they finally see, too late, that what they were defending was never real. It was just a temporary structure, a role consciousness played for a brief moment, and now it is time to return to what has always been, the self, infinite, eternal, whole. Jung's visions in his final weeks showed him this. He saw his entire life from outside, as if watching a movie, and he realized Carl Jung, the psychologist, the man, the identity, was just one small expression of something far greater, consciousness itself, experiencing human life through the form called Jung. And when that form dissolved, consciousness would not end. It would simply continue, in other forms, other expressions, forever. This is what the visions reveal, not a belief, not a hope, but a knowing that you are not your body, you are not your thoughts, you are not your story. You are the awareness that experiences all of it, and that awareness never dies.
Jung discovered something that will change how you see your own life. The visions people have before death are the same visions you have right now while you are still alive. You just do not recognize them because they do not come as dramatic near-death experiences. They come as something else. Moments, brief, fleeting, when the ego cracks just for a second and you see through it. Jung called these numinous experiences, moments when something beyond the ordinary breaks through and you feel it in your body, in your soul, a knowing that there is more than this surface life, more than the roles you play, more than the identity you defend. Have you ever had a moment where time stopped, where you looked at the sky or the ocean or another person and something inside you broke open? Not sadness, not happiness, but awe, pure, overwhelming, like you were seeing for the first time. Jung said, this is the self showing you what you actually are, but most people dismiss it. They call it a weird moment and they go back to sleep. But here is what Jung discovered. These moments are not random. They follow the same pattern as the deathbed visions, the same sequence, the same symbols, the same truth. And if you pay attention, you will see it happening in your own life right now. Pattern 1. You feel disconnected from your life. The things that once mattered suddenly feel empty. Success, status, possessions. You look at them and think, is this it? Is this all there is? Jung said, this is not depression. This is the ego beginning to dissolve. Your consciousness is preparing for something deeper. This is the first stage of the vision, the letting go. Pattern 2. You start noticing synchronicities, meaningful coincidences. You think of someone, they call. You need an answer, a book falls off the shelf. You ask a question, and the universe responds. Jung said, synchronicity is proof that your consciousness is not confined to your skull. It is connected to everything, and the more the ego dissolves, the more you see it. This is the second stage, the awakening to the fact that you are not separate. Pattern 3. You crave solitude, not because you hate people, but because you need space, to hear something calling you from inside.
Jung said this is the self reaching for you, and it cannot reach you in the noise. You must withdraw temporarily to meet it. This is the third stage, the descent into your own unconscious. And pattern 4, you start questioning everything, your beliefs, your identity, your entire life. Who am I? Why am I here? What is real? Jung said these are not philosophical questions, these are psychological questions. Your consciousness is asking because it is ready to shed the old self and discover the true self. This is the fourth stage, the transformation. And here is what Jung realized. The dying go through these stages in weeks, but the living can go through them over years or decades. And most people resist every single stage. They medicate the disconnection. They dismiss the synchronicities. They avoid the solitude. They suppress the questions because they are terrified of what they will find if they go deeper. But Jung said, what you will find is not something to fear. It is you, the real you, the eternal you. The part that has been waiting your entire life to finally be seen. And the visions, the same ones dying people see, are available to you right now. Not through death, but through awareness, by paying attention to the moments when the ego cracks, when the veil lifts, when you feel for just a second that you are more than this body, more than this mind, more than this temporary identity. Jung's final visions showed him he had been living this pattern his entire life. Every breakdown, every crisis, every moment of doubt was the self calling him deeper, inward, until he finally stopped resisting and saw what he had always been: consciousness, infinite, eternal, free.
So what does this mean for you, right now, today, while you are still alive? Jung's visions were not just about death, they were about awakening before death comes. He said most people wait until the end to finally see, but you do not have to wait. You can see it now, if you are willing to look. And here is how. Jung discovered that the visions, the ones dying people see, are triggered by one thing: ego dissolution. The moment when you stop defending who you think you are and allow yourself to see who you actually are. And you do not need to be dying to experience this. You just need to stop. Stop performing, stop pretending. Stop defending the identity you built, and ask one question. Who am I when I am not being anyone? Not who you think you should be, not who your parents wanted, not who society expects, but who you actually are, beneath all of that. Jung said most people are terrified of this question, because answering it means letting go of the image, of the control, of the story you have been telling yourself your entire life. But here is what he promised. On the other side of that letting go is freedom, real freedom. Not freedom to do whatever you want, but freedom from needing to be anyone at all. Jung worked with a patient once, a man in his 60s, successful, respected, but dying inside. He came to Jung and said, "I feel like I have wasted my entire life playing a role, being who others needed me to be. And now it is almost over, and I never lived." Jung asked him, "If you had 1 year left and no one was watching, what would you do?" The man could not answer, because he had spent so long being the role, he had no idea who he was without it. Jung gave him one instruction:
Sit in silence every day for 30 minutes and do not try to be anyone. Not successful, not good, not wise. Just be. The man resisted. He said it felt pointless, uncomfortable. But Jung insisted, the self will not speak until you create space for it. So the man did it, and after 2 months, something shifted. He started having visions, not dramatic, not mystical, but clear. Images in his mind of himself as a child, free, curious, unafraid. And he realized that child was still there, buried beneath decades of performance, waiting to finally be seen. The man spent his final year not achieving more, but stripping away everything that was not him. The expectations, the masks, the fear. And when he died, his family said he had a smile on his face because he finally knew who he was. This is what Jung's visions taught him. You do not discover yourself by adding more. You discover yourself by removing everything that is not you, until only the truth remains, the self, eternal, unchanging, real. And the process is simple, but not easy. You start by noticing. When are you performing? When are you pretending? When do you feel most disconnected from yourself? Notice it without judgment. Just see it. And then ask, what would I do if no one was watching? If there were no consequences, no judgment, no fear? What would I choose? And listen, not with your mind, but with something deeper, the self. It will answer, not in words, but in feelings, in pulls, in visions, subtle at first, but if you keep listening, they get stronger, clearer, until one day you realize you are not who you thought you were. You are not the role, you are not the identity, you are the awareness that has been watching all along. And that awareness is what the visions reveal. Not something new, but something that has always been there, waiting for you to finally stop running and turn around and see it. Jung said, the visions are not given to you, they are you, the deepest part of you, trying to show you what you forgot when you were born into this body, into this identity, into this life. And his final promise was this: you do not have to wait for death to remember. You can remember now, by creating space, by letting go, by asking the question, who am I, really? And waiting for the self to answer.
Jung's final visions revealed something extraordinary. The same state of consciousness that dying people experience is accessible to you right now, without crisis, without near death, without suffering. Jung called it active imagination, and it is the most powerful psychological tool he ever discovered. Here is how it works. You sit in silence, no distractions, no music, no agenda, and you close your eyes and you ask your unconscious to show you something, not with words, but with images. Jung said, do not force it, do not control it, just watch, like watching a movie, and see what appears. At first, nothing happens. Your mind wanders, you get bored, you want to quit. But if you keep sitting, keep watching, something shifts. Images start to appear, not from your conscious mind, but from somewhere deeper, the unconscious. Maybe you see a figure, a guide, an animal, a symbol.
Jung said, do not analyze it, do not interpret it, just engage with it, ask it questions, listen to what it says. This sounds strange, talking to images in your mind, but Jung discovered these images are not random. They are aspects of your own consciousness, parts of yourself you have rejected, the shadow, the anima, the animus, the self, all trying to communicate, trying to show you what you cannot see. One of Jung's patients, a woman in her 40s, was stuck in her career, in her marriage, in her life. She felt trapped, but she did not know why. Jung taught her active imagination, and after a few weeks she had a vision. She saw herself as a bird in a cage. The door was open, but the bird would not leave. Jung asked her, "Why is the bird not leaving?" She said, "Because it is afraid. It has been in the cage so long, it does not know how to fly anymore." And in that moment, she understood. The cage was not her job, it was not her marriage, it was her fear, her belief that she could not survive outside the known. The vision showed her what words could not, and once she saw it, everything changed. Not externally, but internally. She stopped blaming her circumstances and started facing her fear, and slowly the cage dissolved. This is what the visions do. They bypass the conscious mind, the part of you that rationalizes, that defends, that lies to yourself, and they show you the truth in symbols, in images, in feelings. Jung said, the visions are not mystical, they are psychological. They are the language of the unconscious, and once you learn to speak it, your entire life transforms. But here is the key. You have to trust the process. Most people, when they first try this, dismiss what they see. They think, I am just making this up. This is not real. But Jung said, it does not matter if you are making it up. The unconscious is you. So even if you think you are creating the images, you are not. The unconscious is, and it is showing you exactly what you need to see. The more you practice, the clearer the visions become, the more profound, the more transformative, until one day you have a vision that changes everything, that shows you what you have been running from, what you have been avoiding, what you need to face. Jung's final visions in his last weeks were not different from the visions he had been having for 50 years. Through active imagination, through dreams, through deep psychological work. The only difference was that now he knew his time was ending, and the visions were showing him what comes next. He saw light, he saw guides, he saw the self fully emerged, no longer limited by the body, no longer confined by identity, just consciousness, pure, infinite, eternal. And he was not afraid, because he had already been there thousands of times, in meditation, in active imagination, in dreams. He had already seen what most people only see at the end. And that, he said, was the gift of doing the inner work, of facing the unconscious, of meeting the self before the body fails. Jung's message was simple. Do not wait. Do not spend your entire life defending the ego. Turn inward, now, while there is still time. Create space. Sit in silence. Ask the unconscious to show you, and watch. The visions will come, not all at once, but slowly, piece by piece, showing you who you are, and what you have always been, beneath the mask, beneath the fear, beneath the story, the self, waiting, patient, eternal, ready.
So here is what Carl Jung's final visions revealed. Not a belief, not a theory, but a truth.
You are not who you think you are. You are not the voice in your head. You are not the emotions you feel. You are not the body you inhabit. You are the awareness that experiences all of it. And that awareness never dies. Jung spent his entire life proving this, not through faith, but through observation, through studying thousands of dying patients, through his own near-death experience, through decades of inner work. And what he saw in his final weeks was the same thing he had seen his entire life: the self emerging, when the ego finally lets go. And his final message to anyone still alive, still searching, was this: do not wait for death to see what you are. Do not spend your entire life defending a self that was never real. Turn inward now, while there is still time. Sit in silence. Ask the unconscious to show you, and watch. The visions will come, not as dramatic experiences, but as quiet knowings, as synchronicities, as moments when the veil lifts and you see, for just a second, that you are more than this, more than the story, more than the fear, more than the temporary form. You are consciousness itself, experiencing life through this body, for a brief moment. And when the body falls away, you do not disappear. You return to what you have always been: infinite, eternal, whole. Jung died on June 6, 1961, peacefully in his sleep. His family said he had a smile on his face, as if in his final moment he finally saw what he had been preparing for his entire life: the vision, the truth, the self. And now you know too, not because I told you, but because something in you recognized it, the part of you that has always known. You are not the small self. You are the awareness watching the small self. And that awareness is calling you, right now, in this moment, through the discomfort you feel, through the patterns you repeat, through the visions you ignore, through the life you are pretending to live. It is calling you to wake up. The question is, will you answer, or will you keep defending the ego until it is too late? Jung's visions end with one truth, written in every symbol, every image, every moment of clarity. You are not separate. You have never been separate. You are the whole, experiencing itself as a part. And when you finally see this, everything changes. That moment is available to you, not someday, now. If you want to go deeper into Carl Jung's psychology, into the visions, into the self, into the journey of awakening, subscribe to SYC Soul, because this is just the beginning. Hit the like button if this video showed you something you have been avoiding. Share it with someone who is searching, who feels lost, who needs to know they are more than they think they are. And leave one word in the comments: vision, awakening, self, consciousness. Here, whatever feels true. Your word matters because it marks the moment when you stopped defending the illusion and started seeing the truth. Thank you for being here. Jung would have wanted you to know the self has been waiting for you your entire life, and it will not stop calling until you finally see it. This is SYC Soul, and your awakening starts now.